Hey there, it's me, Madam Onca. Welcome to the Totally Tea and Tarot blog. This would be our 6th edition, I think. We are working our way through the twos, as we have previously mentioned, and we are visiting a variety of decks in the course of walking our way through the entire set of tarot cards. Also, we're walking our way through some of the herbs that are traditionally corresponded with the cards, and today it would be passion flower, which I have to say is very floral tasting. Passion flower specifically is, as an herb, is prescribed for GI-related illnesses and for generally restlessness and anxiety and sleeplessness and that kind of thing. So you might almost think, as you learn about these cards, that this could get scooted up the line and be corresponded with maybe the Nine of Swords, which also has a lot of that sort of connotations. But instead, we find this has been corresponded by the authors of the Herbal Tarot to the Two of Swords, which is our card for the day. So, and owls. So cute, although it kind of looks like a bug-eyed fox. Anyway, so the Two of Swords. Now, swords, of course, are the suit of air, the element of air, and of the intellect, boundaries, decision-making powers, speedy intelligence in all of its forms, and different authors and artists describe this card differently, but essentially it comes down to, here is the Pamela Coleman Smith version on our teeny tiny adorable Albano-Waite, which is just a variation of the Rider-Waite yellow sky. So here we see a little teeny tiny person blindfolded on an edge. This reminds me actually of Cinque Terre in Italy, sort of this sort of rocky coastline, and they've clearly adopted a physically very demanding pose with the intention of holding it for a hot minute. This is my version of the same thing. Again, very similar illustration in intention, just, I wanted to convey something a little bit different in the art, and we'll talk more about that, although we still see that little sliver of a moon suggesting that there is some information available if only you took off the blindfold. And then Lady Frida Harris in Aleister Crowley's version, the Book of Thoth, this card is called Peace. So these paintings, all being rather surreal, often they remind me of something fractal, predating fractals. This card is described as peace, and if I can summon to mind their description, it is intellect removed past the boundaries of conflict. Something similar to that. I wish I could parse the words perfectly because it was pretty clever. Bold choices. They were making bold choices. So they described this card as peace. Jessica Juca Godino and I, who is my co-author in writing about our deck, opted to call it equilibrium. And no matter how you want to slice it, most of these, get that as a pun, most of these come down to some version of now is not the time to take rapid action. Now is the time to weigh your options. Now is the time to, sort of lean into it, breathe into it. But you cannot hold this stasis forever. Nobody's wrists are going to do this for long, and no one is going to be able to span this chasm in this sort of pose of power indefinitely. Failing to act, failing to choose is still a choice. Procrastination is a form of action. So when this card comes up, be it equilibrium or be it a card that you consider peace, I would say that really what this always is describing is don't rush headlong into making decisions. Perhaps you don't have all the information. You may need to, again, take a beat, but know that action is called for. You will need to make some choices, and as I have alluded to before, the rest of the Swords cards get kind of messy. The Swords cards describe a lot of the difficulties we get ourselves into as creatures that are not well harmonized between our all of our different personal bits of programming, our intellect, our bodily needs, our spirituality, our creativity, our emotional life. So this card really says try to set yourself up well for the rest of the Swords cards by making careful, deliberate choices. And I always like to think that this little bunny is here just going, why do humans make everything so hard, man? It's so nice when you're just able to run on your instinct. So I think that's pretty much it. with swords, I'm actually going to read this definition because I have my million-year-old book here with the phrase that was described by Lady Frida Harris, and I just thought it was great. Energy beyond the onslaught of the disruption of the intellect. That's going to be my new podcast. So, yeah, all of the swords cards really just say, take a minute, check yourself before you wreck yourself. So cute. Yeah, so swords, that's, like I said, the least complicated sword that we've got. And passion flower, good for things that ail you. You can find me all over the internet doing tarot workshops, doing tarot art, selling tarot art, and so forth. And I hope that I have taught you something or shared something with you, and that maybe we can do this again. Find me on the internet, and feel free to contact me too with questions or concerns. Have a great day.